What's up, YouTube? Thank you for joining me once again. Thank you for clicking on the thumbnail, and let's get right into it because I want to get right into it. Guys, I've been thinking about what if I was Ruben Amorim going into this summer? What if you were Ruben Amorim? Let's not talk about what he would do tactically and how he's going to change the way we play next season or anything like that. Let's just talk about Ruben Amorim in the summer and the decisions he's going to have to make. And I want you to put yourself in his shoes because that's what I've been trying to do, trying to figure out what would be going on through his head, through my mind if I was in his shoes. Basically, you've got 2 more seasons left on your contract, which means you actually only have 1 more season left on your contract because we all know that when a coach goes into his last season of his contract, either he's going to get an extension or he's going to get the sacking. So we know that this is his last season. So there are some tough decisions that he's going to have to make right now, right before we go into the summer. And let's add to that the caveat that he's owned by people or his bosses or whatever are letting him know that, hey, we don't have a ton of money to spend. We don't have big boy money. We don't have big boy money. Chelsea has big boy money. That's why they got Kenda. I'm not making this about Kenda, by the way. I'm just using that as an example. So we cannot win any type of bidding war because we're not even interested in going into a bidding war. So we have to choose players that most other people don't want. At least none of the other big boys with big boy money want. We have to go after players who are sneaky. You know what I mean? Like nobody really knows about or not many people know about except for little guys. That's why we probably got a Christopher Vivell in. That's what he kind of specializes in. He finds bargains, right? Who are decent players who are in development to become good players. So if I'm Ruben Amorim and I'm thinking, okay, for the most part, we're going to get a bunch of developmental type players who are going to come in for less than 40 million euros. And that's fine. I would still want at least me personally. You guys leave it in the comments what you think about what I'm about to say. Me personally, I'd still want 1 or 2 proven players, especially the striker, right? I would want a striker that's proven, and not me. I would want an attacking midfielder that's proven because that's where we suffered a lot this year. Now, there is an argument to say that maybe the proven player should be like this goalkeeper and that we need a replacement for our goalkeeper. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about our goalkeeper and why we may or should be considering replacing him, even though he's not really a terrible goalkeeper. But he probably costs us points. And we're a team that can't afford to have a goalkeeper that costs you points every once in a while. Even though he probably costs us points 1 out of every, 4 games or 5 games. I would say 20% of the games, Onana probably costs us points. That could be because of goalkeeping blunders, like saving blunders, where he makes a save and leaves the ball in front of him instead of batting it to one side or another where the rebound isn't a goal. But that's not the only way a goalkeeper can cost you points. A goalkeeper can also cost you points if you're building a tactical structure that involves goalkeepers starting your offensive movements going forward, and Onana's not doing a great job distributing right now. So, again, I'm going to touch on that a little bit more later. I want to get back to some of the other things that were going through my mind about the striker and the attacking midfielder. Now, we all know that we were interested in Tyler Dibbling, whatever his name is. We all know we were interested in Tyler Dibbling, but it looks like Southampton knows that there are a couple of clubs interested in Tyler Dibbling, and they could probably get 40 million euros for him or 50 million pounds for him next summer. So if you want him this summer, Southampton might be like, hey, we want 100 million. Now, the story is they are going to ask for 100 million or more, but that's not their final goal. That's just a starting place for negotiations. But for them to start at 100 million means that somebody's probably going to be willing to pay 65 to 75 million for him. Maybe with add-ons, maybe without add-ons. Point is, though, too rich for our blood. We're not going to be going after that. So we're starting to hear stories, and this kind of always happens, right? We think we're going after Kenda, and then a week before it's announced that Kenda's going to Chelsea, we start hearing stories about we're actually interested in Roger Fernandes. And then what happens? We find out that Kenda's going to Chelsea. Now we're starting to hear stories that we may be interested in Trincao because he's in his last year of his contract. He'll be available for like 30 to 35 million euros, maybe even less. And we're interested in Trincao. I guess that's because Manchester United already got word a week ago. Because, by the time we hear things, it's already been a while. We're not hearing things the day after it happens. So they probably got word over a week ago that Southampton's going to be asking for 100 million because there's enough interest in Tyler Dibbling where they can ask for 100 million and probably sell for something like 65 to 75. So Manchester United is probably going to stop looking at Tyler Dibbling moving forward because I just don't think we're going to compete or pay that kind of money, nor do I think we should, by the way. This isn't me saying that we should. All I'm saying is we're not in a market for somebody who's going to be wanted by other big boy teams. And I think Manchester City probably does have an interest in Tyler Dibbling because he's kind of what they wish that other guy was. The guy they paid 100 million for from Aston Villa. What's his name? The drunk. Sorry. It's just Jack. There you go, Jack. That's what I think Tyler Dibbling is. He's a young, probably better than Jack. What Man City thought they were buying when they were buying Jack Grealish. See, I remembered his name. But the point is this: Amorim has tough decisions to make. Amorim has to decide who's for sale, who's not for sale, because we're going to need to sell to raise more funds. Now, I already know Marcus Rashford is going to sell because he's been playing pretty decent for the England squad, and he's been doing pretty good for Aston Villa. So there should be a market for him. I just don't know how valuable that market's going to be, especially with his wages. We're going to sell Antony if he keeps playing the way he's been playing, but Antony might not have any like big boy teams come in for him, okay? Maybe Bayern Munich, maybe not. It might be a middle tier team that can't afford to pay much more than 20 million euros for him, 25 million euros for him. Then we're also probably going to be stuck with Jadon Sancho and try to sell him on the cheap. Maybe not. It doesn't matter. These are all small little purchases, and most of these we already owe money on. So they're like the Antony sale. If Antony sells, we owe money on Antony still. So that money is going to go probably to pay that bill, which is good. It still helps the team. It still lowers our, what did Sir Jim Ratcliffe say? That even if we don't buy anybody, we can end up spending up to 80 million pounds or something like that, just paying for old debts. So it'll still bring that debt down, which is a good thing. But I think that there may come a time where Amorim is going to have to decide whether or not he's willing to sell one of his young guns, the Kobe Mainoos, the Garnachos, to raise some more funds. I don't know. You guys leave it in the comments. Would you, if I told you that you're going to have to make a sale like that to get a marquee striker like an Osimhen or a Gyökeres, if you're going to have to sell someone like Garnacho to do that, would you do it? Now, also, you might think like a fan. You might think like Garnacho is going to come good in 3 seasons and 4 seasons. I want you to put yourself in Ruben Amorim's shoes. You don't have 3-4 seasons. You have next season and next season only. If you don't have a good season next season, if you don't show good progress, not just a little progress, because let's face it, we're doing really bad. Showing a little bit of progress right now isn't that big a deal. If we're in 10th place come next season in this time, that's still progress and it sucks. So we're talking, he's got to climb up and be fighting for top 4, right? Even if he doesn't make it into top 4 and we finish 5th, he's still got to show that he can fight or what he can challenge for top 4 position next season, or else they might be looking somewhere else instead of extending his contract, because extending the manager's contract is making a commitment to pay him for more. That's not how I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos are going to work. They did that with Erik ten Hag, and they're like, we're not going to make that mistake again. They're not going to extend this manager's contract unless they're 100% confident that he's a manager they want to keep for another 3 years. They're not going to extend his contract to just let him go the following season, right? So he has to prove himself next season. I would know that if I was Ruben Amorim. If I put myself in his shoes, I would be thinking that. I know that now, and I'm not him. I definitely think he would be thinking that. I definitely think his management team, the people who did, who make his sign his contracts for him or negotiate his contracts for him, I think they know that too. So he's got to make some decisions that are based on next season, not whether or not Garnacho is going to be a great player 5 years from now, because he might not be here 5 years from now. Amorim, that is. So what do we do? What does he do? What would I do? I definitely look after myself because that's the way it has to be. Even if I love Manchester United, because if I love Manchester United, that means I want to manage Manchester United 5 years from now too. And that's not going to happen if we have a bad season next season. What do you guys think? Leave it in the comments. This is a great discussion that I really want to hear a lot of opinions about. Put yourself in Amorim's shoes and leave it in the comments as to what you would do this summer. Would it be Frimpong or would it be Roger Fernandes? I don't know. I really don't know which way to go on this one. I'm actually confused because I think they're both really good. I'd be happy with either one of them. But will it be Trincao or Tyler Dibbling? I'd rather have Tyler Dibbling. And I'm pretty sure that Ruben Amorim would rather have a better attacking midfielder than Trincao. He'll settle for Trincao because that might be the only thing he can afford if he wants to go for a top-tier striker. If he has to pay for Osimhen or Gyökeres or Ekitike instead of signing the free Canadian striker, what's his name? What's his name, guys? The free one that plays for Canada. I don't want him. God, what's his name? Does it end with John or begin with John? Why do I have the word John in my head? I don't want him. And let me explain why. Yes, he scored some decent goals in the French league. I don't think he has the physicality to do what we need him to do. I don't think he is a run in behind and score goals guy. Rasmus can do that. That's not what we're looking for. We need a guy who can play in congested areas, and that's just not, I don't think that's him. That's not him. We need a guy who's going to be able to be effective against a low block. I don't think that's him. I just don't. I forgot his name, and I feel bad for forgetting his name. But you guys know who I'm talking about. You know who the free signings are this summer and the talk about them. I don't want him. I don't think he would help us. I'd rather have Rasmus, to be honest with you. I think that between him and Rasmus is not much different. Sure, he might come in and score a couple more goals than Rasmus would, but that's not the kind of improvement we need in the striker position. We need a big leap. We need a big leap in the striker position. Yeah. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you don't agree with me, leave it in the comments. If you watch the French League more than I do and you know more about this Canadian striker that I can't remember his name of right now, leave it in the comments. But I don't see it. And by the way, in future episodes from now on, I'm actually going to bring up comments from old episodes and answer some of them here. I think that is a cool thing that I want to do to get you guys more involved in actual episodes and videos without you coming on to talk to me. I could just read your comment out loud, share it with the video, whoever's watching the video, and then give you my 2 cents on that comment. Or I might even agree with everything you said, and I'll just be like, what a great comment. So we're going to do that. Leave more comments. Let's kind of help me figure out what it is that most of you want me to discuss or talk about, and what do you guys even want me to think about? Because this is the kind of stuff I think about on my free time in between episodes. If I was Ruben Amorim, what would I be doing? What would I be thinking before this summer transfer window? I know that most of his head has got to think about the next game and what he's going to do for the next game, which, by the way, great news. I'm going to do a watch along for the next game. My first watch along ever. Hopefully I don't mess it up. I'm going to do a watch along for the next game. I'm going to try my best to do a good job. I don't know how to do it. I don't even know how to get the little timer and stuff like that. I'm going to look into it and see if I can figure it out. I will be doing a watch along for the next game on Tuesday, April 1st. That's when it is. Tuesday, April 1st. I'll be doing a watch along. Come join me. You guys have asked for it. The only reason why I'm doing it is because the community asked for it in the comments. Literally on every video, somebody would ask for it. And here's the thing. I'm nervous about it because I know how I am when I'm watching games. I'm usually a little bit quiet because I'm watching everything that happens, and then I erupt when I see something I don't like. So I will try to not be quiet. I'll actually try to verbalize my thoughts as I'm watching the game, but I'm probably going to be ignoring the camera for the most part and watching the game on the monitor over here for the most part. But I'll try my best to look back at the camera and see what you guys are commenting. What help me out, man. Come to the watch along and teach me how to do it right. Okay, let's watch it together. It's gonna be fun. I'm actually excited about it, but I'm also nervous about it. But I will see you guys Tuesday, April 2nd. I kind of worked my work shift. I changed my work shift around at work so that I can do that. So I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Anyways, let's get back to the subject at hand here. Summer's around the corner. A lot of teams are starting their negotiations. They're making deals. We're doing it too. We're talking to people like Frimpong, like Roger Fernandes, and everybody else. What are we going to do, man? I think we're going to get in 5 signings. I don't know if we'll get in 6. And I think that if we get in 6, it's because we're actually going to replace the goalkeeper too. And this is where I want to touch on the goalkeeper maybe. I feel like a team like this, a team that Ruben Amorim's trying to build, needs a goalkeeper who's going to be like an Ederson, like an Allison, and it doesn't have to be one of them. When we first got Ederson at City and when they first got Allison at Liverpool, I didn't know much about them. So we could be getting a goalkeeper I've never heard of who could be really good. And that's what I'm hoping for. I actually think that it is a must. And I think that if I was Ruben Amorim, that would be my 2 key areas that I'd want to improve are striker and goalkeeper. And then my next one would be attacking midfielder. Because we do have attacking midfielders who sometimes can do a good job. Ahmad, Garnacho, Mainoo, Bruno Fernandes. We do have attacking midfielders that sometimes can show up, they can get in form, and they can do a good job. We have seen this Xerxes. I forgot to mention him. Xerxes has been doing a great job playing as an attacking midfielder. We have seen this season that we don't have a consistently good striker, and our goalkeeper hasn't been consistently good either. He hasn't been terrible, but he's been okay, and that's not good enough. And then my next position would be whoever's going to replace Dalot, because Diogo Dalot needs competition. He needs competition. He needs to take a step back. He needs to reformulate, reanalyze, figure out what he wants to do with in his career and how he wants to proceed. And then he's got to work on his weaknesses. And I think the only way that's going to happen is if he's sitting on the bench for a month or two to kind of just recollect himself, because I know there's a better player in there than what we've seen this season. Or we may even, if I'm Ruben Amorim and I'm putting myself in his shoes, I may even think, well, I'm getting a center back. So now I don't need Mazraoui to play center back as much. Mazraoui's going to take over as a backup right wing back to whoever I bring in, whether that's Roger Fernandes or Frimpong. I'm going to sell Diogo Dalot to raise some funds. So because Diogo Dalot, we don't owe any money on. So anything we sell him for is pure profit. And that might be how we pay for a Gyökeres or a Osimhen. I don't know. But that's how my brain would be thinking. I would want a striker that's like completely proven that I can rely that this guy's going to get me 18 to 30 goals this season. 18 minimum. He's going to get me this season because I'm going to need him or else I'm going to lose my job. Guys, that's it for today. I am going to make another video soon, but then again, I'm going to do the watch along on Tuesday. Well, no, I will make another video on this weekend because we don't have a game this weekend. And I will post one again this weekend. Leave it in the comments. You're Ruben Amorim. Summer's around the corner. What do you want to do? What are you going to do? We don't have much money. You have to raise money to get anybody worth more than 40 million euros. Or you get 4 players by selling Marcus Rashford and Antony and Jadon Sancho. Just by selling those 3, you get 4, maximum 5 players, but they all have to be 35 million euros or less. What do you do?